It's Movie Time. It's produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at wcbe.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Mary Urena.
And this is It's Movie Time.
Yay, grab the popcorn.
Oh, Mary. Another Downton Abbey? Don't tell me this can't be true.
It is true, and I could not be more pleased. There's something really comforting during this pandemic time to revisit these characters and their world and just have fun at the movies.
And you have seen the 6 years of it, I think.
I did see the 6-year series, and I saw the previous movie as well.
Yeah. So now we have Downton Abbey, A New Era. And I have to agree with you, I hadn't seen the series, but I did see 2019 version, and I saw this one. And I want to tell you, I don't know how anybody could be snobby about this. It's already a snobby show, right? But there are people who are snobby about it, you know, and they can't understand. And I tell them, this is absolutely the best that cinema can do in a popular vein.
I would agree. It's first of all, it's so beautiful to see.
Oh.
You're at Highclere Castle, which serves as Downton Abbey, as it has for many of these years, and you're also in the south of France. And the drone shots of the water and the castle and the villa.
Mary, they're beginning to overdo these drone shots.
Well. For where we are in the world right now, I don't care.
And they are just, as they come up on the castle, what a beautiful sight.
Oh, it's just gorgeous. And it just makes you yearn for simpler times, even though times weren't simple. But it just feels good to wrap yourself in this nostalgia of this historical drama as the story of the Crawley family continues.
And you know, I have to give credit to Julian Fellowes, who of course originated and wrote this.
Yes.
How he just avoids a decade that I can't even begin to describe as they're moving from 29 to 30.
Well, this film actually takes place in 1928.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I saw this film with a group of friends and my husband. My husband, like you, had not seen the series,
right,
but he saw the 2019 movie and liked it and was willing to go to the
Good.
theater and see this with me. And
did have to ask, did Bob enjoy this one?
He did enjoy it.
Great, because boy, he is tough.
He is
he was
tough.
always my litmus test. I always asked Mary, did Bob go, and what did he think?
Well, he did go to this one, and he did enjoy it. He was actually looking forward to it. It's one of the few films I can get him into the theater to see. This and Minions, he's looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, that's coming out, right.
But I think what was so wonderful about it was it kind of lets you know it's in the 20s, but doesn't pin it down necessarily. But we did talk about it afterwards. And my one friend had heard on a podcast that this does take place in 1929. However, being observant of, there's a scene in the movie where Lady Mary is going to the theater to see a film with the director of the film that's being shot at Downton Abbey. And they go to past one theater, which is sold out, showing a talkie called The Terror.
Oh, you guys!
And so
I love these nerds who watch those.
Well,
marquees.
when we were talking about it, it made me curious because the way the film ends, it would have been after the stock market crash of 1929. If you think
you're right. Yeah, that's
that
right.
it takes
So it
place
does,
in the summer of 1929.
That's right. It doesn't.
And so I went online and did my
point.
research, and it turned out that The Terror was actually released in 1928.
Okay.
So that's how I knew that it's actually 1928, and the film ends right before the stock market crash and the onset.
But we don't feel that. I mean, there is no presage about that coming, even though we all know historically that it is.
So it does open the door, I think, for the potential.
I think so too.
Downton Abbey 3.
So much richness there. I think so too.
Well, and what happens to this world and this way of life that's already been, receding from society? Because part of the reason that they opened Downton Abbey to shoot a modern film, which was going to be silent, is that they need the cash.
I love it.
Because there's pots catching water in the attic during rainstorms. They need the money to repair
I love them going up into the
the
attic.
castle. Yes. And revealing to Lord Grantham how serious the problem
And if you
is.
pay attention to the drone shots, you know the enormous amount of money to keep up a place like that.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
And we have this film within a film, which I found to be humorous because the Lord and Lady who currently own Highclere Castle, which serves as Downton Abbey, I'm sure that this was their life
Yeah.
for the past decade
Sure.
of opening their home for Downton Abbey
Yeah.
to be filmed. And so there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek of what it must have been like for them to have this invasion of a production crew and actors and actresses
Oh, I love it.
into their castle.
As a symbol of change, I think it's perfect. I mean,
Absolutely.
it does very well. Plus, giving a little bit of, and of course, very restrained romance between Lady Mary and the director, Barrow, is that her?
Barber.
Barber, yes, that's right. Barber.
But she is a married woman, and one of the disappointments I think is in the film is Henry, the character of Henry Talbot, who plays Lady Mary's husband, is only referenced because the actor who plays him, Matthew Good, had a conflict and could not make the
Sure.
shoot, which was done in 21. He was filming The Offer, where he has a lead role, and so he couldn't be part of the
Or
production.
even a cameo, I bet he just didn't want to do a cameo.
He did a cameo in the first, but was not able to make a cameo work in the second. And it could have had to do with the tight production of how they were doing it in order to avoid COVID. But he doesn't make an appearance, and the way they reference him in a way that's inconsistent with how the actual TV series
Is that right? Because he's referenced as kind of a playboy or a sports enthusiast or
Well,
something
he
like
was a
that.
car driver whose best friend suffers a horrible accident and dies in a race that they were both competing in. And the way the series ends is he's lost his enthusiasm for car racing because of the death of his friend, and he and Tom Branson have partnered together to open up a motor service shop and dealership.
Mhm.
And they have completely abandoned that as Tom and Henry's line of business, and now all of a sudden Henry, who swore off racing, is now traveling around the world racing, and that is used to explain his absence, which I thought was very clumsy and not true to the storyline that they had developed. So
Yeah.
I do fault the
Yeah, but it does lend a little bit of excitement to it because you're wondering whether in fact there is a romance going to happen between the director and Lady Mary. And I just love her response. You know, she says it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And then we do get
Yeah.
one line that says it was difficult for her.
Yes,
That
that she was tempted.
Yes,
and
she was. I
resisted.
just thought, well, this is perfect. But it cemented my, really, my interest in her as a character. I really like her as the new head, so to speak.
Yes, and part of the reference in the title, I think, is to continuing the transition of who really is the heart and soul of carrying Downton Abbey forward, and that is Lady Mary.
Yeah.
And taking the mantle from her grandmother, the Dowager Violet.
Can it survive without Violet, should that ever happen? We certainly were getting the hint that she's not in great shape.
We do get that hint, and I will say Maggie Smith is given a lot of wonderful lines as the Dowager Grantham in this film, and always worth the price of admission
Oh my, yeah.
to see her act and to hear this wonderful dialogue from her. But I think this film presents Lady Mary as a worthy recipient of the mantle.
Oh, I think so too.
To carry Downton
I mean,
Abbey and to continuing it into the more modern age as the Victorian era passes away.
Yeah, and not only does the film company kind of save the Abbey, she saves the film company.
She does.
And I think it's a very nice tit for tat between the two of them.
It was, although I have to say, it was very predictable what was going to happen.
Oh,
and
yes.
it definitely stole its inspiration from Singing in the Rain.
It did. But I tell you, that was the part that excited me very much. that struggle with talkies,
Yeah,
you know.
and it did represent in a very sympathetic way what happened to the actors and actresses who really brought film forward through the silent era but weren't able to make the transition to talkies.
Yes, the blonde lead
Yes,
was almost a cliche.
almost.
The squeaky voice,
Yes.
looks beautiful on the screen, but
Wasn't allowed to open her
Right.
mouth to the press because the beautiful face did not match the voice that.
and the fabulous transition she makes.
Yes.
I'm going, wow.
Well, and very tongue-in-cheek that she adopts an accent that may make her able to survive in Hollywood.
It is
But there are a
good.
lot of really funny moments if you know the actors themselves, not just the actors who play this myriad of characters
Right.
in the Crawley universe. But particularly, there's a lovely scene with Jim Carson and Imelda Staunton, who are
Actually married.
who are actually married
Yeah.
in real life, and there's a wonderful scene of them in the hat shop in southern France, and it's one of their few scenes that they actually have had together since
Yes.
Imelda's character Maud
Yeah.
was introduced into the storyline in season 6 of the series. So there's just wonderful nuggets or Easter eggs like that give you a lot of humor, which I found this to be a more humorous script than the 2019
Boy, you're right. There is.
version. There's just a lot of my party that went to it, including my husband. There were moments where we were all giggling because we recognized the references, and there was just a lighter touch to a lot.
No,
of
Mary,
the
that's
scenes.
you bring up an important point for our audience. There are people out there who are now, because of our stellar review of this, are intrigued
Yes,
about
and
going
they
to
should
see it. And but Mary, they haven't seen the series, and they may not even have seen the 2019 version. So how can we encourage them?
Well, I would encourage them because it's just, you don't need to. You don't need to know the backstory because it can stand alone in terms of the way the script is handled, giving you enough reference points to the past while letting you enjoy what's being presented to you as a point in time for these characters. And one thing we haven't even talked about is the mystery surrounding Violet, the Dowager,
Yes,
and
and
her
we don't. And you
past.
know something, Mary, we don't have time for that. But
Then you have to go see the movie to find out.
and you do. And the other thing they can do is listen to Back Talk,
Wonderful.
which is our extension of this. This is our podcast on WCBE, the podcast experience. So go there and listen to us because we're just about ready to talk about that mystery. Thank you, Mary Arena. The movie is Downton Abbey, A New Era.